thing. So Leveson, this is. I've just got this book, right? I've just got this copy of Sir Malcolm Jack's book, um, Parliamentary Practice Edition from 2011, I think it was, right? So because I got it for about £80 because they normally sell for a few hundred for like £300 or £400. They hold the value anyway. So this edition actually it's got John Moore University stamped on it, right? It's got John Moore University stamped on it, so it's an ex-university library book. It was in the library at Liverpool University, right? And um, in it, I in the book, and particularly in the public petitions book, right? It's got something very, very interesting in it because it also, in the misconduct against petitioners, it also has constituents, right? Constituents are just members of the public. So it's got like when you go to meet your MP, right? And it's got actually members of the public who aren't particularly necessarily doing petitions, right? But members of the public who are, it says, giving information, right? Handing over information to their MP. And it talks about whether or not they fall under privileges. Well, they don't fall under privileges if it's not relevant and not being used in Parliament, right? So what they're trying to say is, if you're a constituent and you give your MP, a Chinese restaurant menu, right? It's not privileged. Or if you're actually, but if you give your MP information and it's used in Parliament, then it's privileged. So what it's actually doing is that information is like, it's like in the Parliamentary Papers Act, right? Because it's privileged information, right? So what it's actually doing is it's saying that if you are a member of the public and you meet any MP, which is a member of Parliament, right, and you give them informations which becomes used by Parliament, that's privilege and falls under parliamentary privilege. So it proves that it's to do with Parliament. But this is the thing. They said that the law lords, right? Tony Blair and Gordon Brown didn't want the law lords to be involved in Parliament anymore. They're not allowed to debate or vote. But, right, that's it's called votes and proceedings. And proceedings are all the proceedings of Parliament, right? You're not allowed to contribute to it. They didn't want any of the justices to get involved in any participation in politics. Yet this Leveson guy, he was a Lord Justice Leveson, right? Now he's going by the name Sir Brian Leveson, right? That's his new monkey here, right? Sir Brian Leveson. He was calling himself Lord Justice Leveson, right, in 2011. He was definitely and absolutely, he's on the Privy Council now, he was absolutely, right, one of these justices who were the equivalent of the law lords, what used to be the law lords, but they're not law lords because they don't participate in the House of Lords, which means they don't participate in Parliament, right? But this guy is knocking out, right, reports to the culture, media, and sport, which are going to be used in Parliament to make and change law. Those reports with the Secretary of State, right, they used them to make decisions on making and changing law, right? That is bringing them under parliamentary privilege. It's giving information to a Secretary of State or Member of Parliament, which is going to be used. That is the equivalent of any member of the public giving information to any MP, Member of Parliament, including whoever the Secretary of State or not in the Cabinet. And they once they take that and make use of it, then it becomes parliamentary privilege. But that's the thing. The law lords weren't allowed to engage in that at all because if Leveson gives them something which falls under the privileges of Parliament, right? It's illegal. It's not lawful to use it because he's not allowed to participate in votes and proceedings. Any proceedings, like I just said, this is what Sir Malcolm Jack wrote, that if a constituent's information is used by Parliament, it becomes privileged and it gets entered into proceedings. Petitions get recorded in votes and proceedings as well, but it says that it falls under the parliamentary privilege. So that's what Leveson was doing then, and he was a justice then. Now he's pretending that he isn't. He's saying that he's going by the name of Sir Brian Leveson, but he's in charge of security services and distributing, granting surveillance powers to like police, MI5, special units, and so forth. Right, 150 staff. He's in charge. He's right in the hub. He's like a kingpin in this whole kind of like MRR Buffnot and a husband and all this MI5, the World Health Organization taking rights away and all this, global surveillance mission type thing that Big Brother Watch is opposing as well. Big Brother Watch is opposing this. In fact, I should tag them really on this video. And why Leveson's in charge, right? This is the irony, right? He was definitely doing it illegally back then, right? That's for sure. Now he's pretending that he's not a judge, but I would like to get investigatory powers now to surveil all of the retired judges in England, right? The justices, and see how many of them are using their title when they write a letter, right, or receive a letter. How many of them are still like making use of the title and not just using the normal name, like John Smith or whatever, right, or whichever ones are not knighted? I would bet you that some of them are still using it because it says that you can use and still retain the title, or it still has an effect, right? And if they are, that is evidence that Leveson actually still is a judge, and he's making decisions on whether there should be juries or not in the law, right? But this is the thing: they said that judges weren't supposed to participate in votes and proceedings at all. So if they receive information from him and they make use of it, it becomes privileged, right? So this is the thing. But even if his title does not have effect now, it definitely he was doing it for Culture, Media and Sport reports in 2012. So this is worse than Lord Walney getting sacked. Walney actually, it was apparently, they put it in the newspaper cover, that Walney was sacked or whatever. In Extinction Rebellion, we're going on about sacking Walney. Now it turns out it's Leveson. Hopefully we can get some intervention before they actually go ahead with this. This is the type of thing that Danny Kruger has been talking about, getting the country's rights back and undoing all this ridiculous nonsense that they've been trying to put through government.